need your space, then pull me close. I read your silence, louder than most. One day you're warm, the next day you're cold. Got me second guessing what I already know. I give you love, but you ration yours. You open up just to close the door. I stay up late, tryna read your mind. I can't read your mind, but your love got rules that change all the time. Why are you always halfway in? Got me drowning when I know I could swim. If you love me, baby, say it with your chest. Yeah, tired of the maybes, I just want the yes. Don't play me like a song on spin. If you ride for me, then ride to the end. Don't wanna love this paper thin.
During the day, the city demands that everyone be a perfect cog. It drains you, dictates a rigid rhythm, forces you to keep your back straight, and under no circumstances allows you to show weakness. But somewhere after 9 in the evening, this metallic clatter begins to subside. It is replaced by a completely different sound, lower, more lingering, slightly offbeat, and the light changes. The harsh white neon of office towers gives way to the warm, diffused glow of shop windows, alleyway street lamps, and headlights gliding across the asphalt. And it is precisely at this time that the city, this massive, indifferent, and cold concrete monster, suddenly becomes merely a backdrop, a grand, expensive stage set, because they step onto the stage. I think about the women who right now are pulling open the heavy doors of venues, stepping out of taxis somewhere on Pokrovka or Myasnitskaya, standing in small groups near entrances, wrapping themselves tightly in their coats. I look down at them, and every time I struggle to understand one simple thing. Where do they find the strength? After all, we all live within the same harsh coordinates. I know perfectly well how they spend their days. It's hours of Zoom calls, exhausting commutes from one end of the metropolis to the other, monitor screens that make your eyes physically ache by evening. It is the constant need to prove something, solve problems, and control processes. Moscow is simply not built to let you be fragile. It forces women to grow armor, to wear this invisible but terribly heavy shell of absolute competence and total composure. Logically, the only thing any normal person should want after a week like that is to collapse onto a sofa in a dark room and sleep around the clock. But they make a different choice. And in this choice, in this strange, seemingly irrational protest against exhaustion, lies their most vital, pulsating beauty. How does this transition even happen? I often imagine that evening gap between the end of the workday and the beginning of the night. It doesn't just happen with a snap of the fingers. It is a specific, willful effort. She parks her car by her building or steps out of the elevator on her floor. There, behind the closed door of her apartment, it's quiet. She could just exhale and stay, but she goes to the bathroom, turns on the water, and washes away more than just the city dust. She washes away that endless list of other people's expectations and tasks. She physically forces herself to flip an internal switch. She pulls out clothes that have nothing to do with daytime dress codes, comfort, or practicality. Clothes that, let's be honest, are entirely unsuited for our damp Moscow weather. And there is a defiance in that. Why wear this silk? Why choose these uncomfortable shoes? Why spend time styling your hair, knowing full well that the wind on the garden ring, and we all know that wind, will ruin it in 3 minutes? Because this is an act of reclaiming her own life. During the day, her time belongs to her employer, her clients, her schedule. But this night belongs exclusively to her. And so she appears, somewhere on a noisy veranda or squeezes through a dense crowd in the dimly lit hall of a bar. Notice their eyes in the first few minutes after they walk in. They still hold that residual daytime focus, a light scanning of the space. She is looking for her people, and when she finds them, In the very second she sits down at the table, the exact thing this was all for finally happens. Have you ever noticed how a woman's face changes when she finally relaxes among those to whom she has nothing to prove? We men often give ourselves far too much credit for their evening preparations. It flatters us to think that this deep color, this silhouette, this perfume is all so that one of us will turn and look at her. Yes, attention flatters everyone, but their true beauty is not revealed when they catch the glances of strangers. It is revealed when they look at each other. Within this female company, there is a unique, astonishing ecosystem completely closed off to us. They might sit very close together, shouting over the music or over that eternal hum of voices that fills decent places in the evening, and share something that suddenly makes them burst into laughter, genuinely, loudly, holding nothing back. And in that moment, she is blindingly beautiful. Beautiful because she forgot how she looks from the outside. Beautiful because for a second, she stopped controlling her expressions, stopped holding that socialite pose. A strand of hair might fall loose, she might irritably but endearingly adjust a constantly slipping strap. She might frown comically as she tries to hear her friend over the bass. And all of this is 1,000 times more captivating than the most expensive studio photo shoot. Because there is real life in this. The pulse beats here. They are beautiful in their imperfection, in how, dead tired after these 5 workdays, they suddenly find a hidden reserve of energy deep inside to sparkle, joke, listen, and support. It is a special form of mutual aid, gathering together simply to remind one another, we are alive. We are still alive.
And how do they cope with this city physically? That is a separate art form altogether, one I observe with genuine admiration. Moscow is a harsh city, let's face it. We have vast, wind-swept distances, eternal drafts in those historic alleys, and weather that can change 3 times in a single evening. Yet she steps out of a venue onto the street just to get some fresh air or wait for her car. She stands in this piercing cold. She's chilly, but the way she shrugs her shoulders, the way she shifts from foot to foot on those thin heels or in those heavy boots, makes it look not like suffering from the cold, but like some strange urban dance. She wraps herself in an oversized coat, exhales a cloud of steam, watches the cars pass by, and there is so much grace, so much inner core in this image that you can't take your eyes off it. They do not break under this city. They force it to serve as a backdrop for their aesthetic. They are bright, warm spots on our endless gray asphalt. But the strongest impression on me comes from what happens later, when the clock hands past 2 or 3 in the morning. The volume drops. The initial explosive enthusiasm of the evening, when built-up tension had to be released, fades away. It is time for long, very quiet conversations. If you look at them at this time, sitting deep inside a half-empty 24-hour cafe, or simply walking slowly along the boulevards, you will see an entirely different kind of beauty. The beauty of vulnerability. Their gaze becomes deeper, calmer, their movements slower, the protective masks are dropped completely. In those nocturnal voices, slightly hushed from a long conversation, in how she holds a hot cup or a glass of water with both hands, in how she stares into the distance while intently listening to her companion, there is so much unfiltered, warm humanity in all of it. She no longer needs to appear strong. She allows herself to simply be tired, thoughtful, perhaps even a little sad. And this quiet nocturnal sadness suits them just as much as their brightest laughter.
And then comes the time to head back. I often watch the lone taxis rushing along half-empty overpasses right before dawn, and I imagine this moment. The city outside the window flickers with the yellow spots of street lamps and the dark silhouettes of sleeping buildings. The GPS mutters quietly, or late-night radio plays in the cabin. She sits in the back seat and rests her head against the headrest. That's it. The final exhale. In this moment, she is alone with herself. In the reflections of the streetlights rhythmically gliding across her face, you can see this astonishing blend of complete physical exhaustion and a deep, genuine inner peace. She reclaimed her night from this city. She lived it exactly as she wanted. She did not surrender to the routine. And even if tomorrow, or rather today, this endless obstacle course begins anew, even if there will be calls, traffic jams, displeased voices, and stress again, all of that will come later, when the sun rises. But right now, she is simply driving through the sleeping city, listening to the steady hum of tires on the asphalt, looking at her reflection in the dark glass, and she is the absolute winner. And you know, looking down from here, from my studio, at this endless stream of cars below, I realize one very simple thing. Moscow itself is just cold stone, glass, and concrete. It feels nothing. All of its warmth, all of its light and meaning is them. The women who possess this astonishing talent to transform their exhaustion into pure energy and the grayness of everyday life into a celebration. Their beauty at night is not the result of the beauty industry or well-chosen clothes. It is the result of their incredible, inexhaustible thirst for life. It is their personal way of saying to this massive, rigid world, I am here, I am alive, and I will be beautiful despite everything. And as long as they find the strength to step out onto these streets, as long as their voices ring out in midnight venues, as long as they wrap themselves in coats against the piercing wind without losing face, this city has meaning and its heart beats. Thank you for not giving up. You make this night alive. You make this city alive. And you are, as always, staggeringly beautiful.